Okay,
Resume recording.
like a TV producer.
Yes, and there will no, there, the TV, you won't see yourself tonight.
I will make that announcement.
And daughters.
But lights, no camera.
Boyfriend.
No lights, no camera.
Oh.
Makeup, I could have, you just told me I would have brought it.
Baby.
I need a fan.
We're good to go.
Are we good to go?
Yes.
All right, as soon as Jacob sits down.
Yeah.
we'll-
In the corner?
Yeah.
Nobody said no corner.
That's the only ones I kind of liked it.
I'm sitting in the corner of the. Did or did not?
Did.
That's.
Yeah, we're putting you in the corner tonight.
Yeah, that's.
Nice. Let's call the meeting to order, please.
Adequate notice that this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by advertising the annual meeting notice to the official newspapers, providing a copy of the agenda to the newspapers, and posting a copy of the agenda at the roll call.
Thank you. Could I have a roll call, please?
Branson,
I'm here.
Dwyer,
Here.
Dougherty,
Here.
Herb,
Here.
Meyer,
Here.
Redding, here, Plumco, Kaplan,
Here.
Fabrio,
Here.
Demblicker,
Here.
Eckel.
Here. Just as a side note, after the roll call, I do want to point out to the board that due to technical difficulties, we are streaming this evening, but you will not see yourselves on the big screen, because that big screen is simply not connecting, but we are streaming tonight. Moving on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting minutes, May 27th, 2026. I sent a few corrections earlier today, so you should have an updated copy of the minutes in your packet. There was one I forgot to send. I apologize, on page 2. Fourth paragraph down. Ms. Green will also prepare an ordinance allowing for roof mounted solar panels, not root mounted solar panels, which would be a whole different thing. Intriguing concept, but that's not, I don't think, what we were discussing. Are there any other comments about the minutes or corrections? Is there a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay, that was Jay. If there's no further comments, could I have a vote, please?
Branson,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Dougherty,
Yes.
Herb,
Abstain.
Meyer,
Abstain.
Redding. Yes. Kaplan,
Yes.
Fabrio,
Yes.
Demblicker,
Yes.
Eckel.
Yes. I'm moving on to the public comment portion of the meeting, seeing that there is no one in the audience this evening. I will open and close the public comment portion of the meeting. And moving on to the variance application for 31 Front Street, which was on our agenda for completeness, but as my understanding has been removed. Steve, can you give us some update on that?
Sure, the attorney for the applicant had requested that the completeness determination be adjourned because they understood that they were incomplete and that they needed to address some additional items. I followed up with an email just to confirm that the application remains incomplete and that no additional formal action is required by the board. And that will reschedule it once resubmissions are made and they confirm that. So there's really nothing for the board to do this evening. They are acknowledging that their application is deemed incomplete.
And that all took place, I believe, this afternoon or early this afternoon?
Yes, or this morning.
There we go.
The day was a blur.
I had many days like that. I understand completely. Although we are going to getting some committee updates later on, this will be a relatively short meeting, I believe. Let's move on to the vouchers.
I'll move approval of the vouchers.
I'll second.
Thank you. Did you catch both of those?
Yes.
And there are no comments or corrections on the vouchers, but I have a please.
Branson,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Dougherty,
Abstain.
Herb,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Redding. Yes. Kaplan,
Yes.
Fabrio,
Yes.
Demblicker,
Yes.
Eckel.
Yes. Moving on to correspondence, council reports and other related items. There were actually some updates for some committees, which I probably should have put earlier on the agenda, but we will get to that in this section. I did want to mention for my part that Jean noted that the New Jersey planning officials have a call out for nominations for their annual achievements in planning. And she thought that the work that the age-friendly planning and committee has done might be a good thing. So Jean being very good at writing these things up, offered to write it up. She has sent me a draft of that, which I'm going to take a look at, and we may be submitting that deadline is July 15th, I believe. So I said, yeah, that would be a great idea. We haven't gotten a planning award, I think, in many years. So and I think this would certainly qualify. So more on that to come, but that is interesting. So now I'm going to go down before I get to council report and environmental commission report. I'm going to go down some of these updates that I wanted to catch up on. Darlene, do we in fact have our final compliance certificate for affordable housing?
I was so hopeful.
I know, last month you were.
I was, and I will tell you, Mr. Cruz deserves an award for his perseverance because Fair Share Housing Center has ignored him. And he has done everything in his ability to try and push them along. I believe today that they were filing the consent order, but we then have to wait for the judge to sign the consent order. So we have made progress, but it has been painfully slow, no fault at all of the boroughs.
So we will hold our breath for yet another month for that good news.
Yes, please.
All right, very good.
We're not at risk, right?
No,
It's just nice to have.
we're essentially, we, like every other town, are at the mercy of when Fair Share Housing Center is able to look at our documents.
It was
Okay.
filed this afternoon.
So it's,
Right, we just need, it needs to be, signed by the judge.
this is just the final step, and then we can be like, we're done now for that for a little while, other than all the other stuff that we have to do constantly.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question? Of
course.
You know, we have a draft of a article for the Frenchtown Sun newsletter for the July
Oh, yes.
issue. And I have, you know.
August.
Is it for the August issue?
Yeah.
It's the August
That's right,
newsletter.
it's a July.
I know, I
10th
did the same thing, though.
Yeah, July 10th deadline for the August
Yeah.
issue. And we've been waiting before, you know, some things are done, and Albert's like, yeah, I wanna look at it before it goes out, so. We're still, we
Waiting.
wanna wait until we get this
Wanna wait.
official done thing from them, okay?
Which sounds like it could be next week even.
Yeah,
No,
in the fullness of time, but in the meantime, let's get it ready and
Yeah.
drafted.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I don't think anything's gonna change once they give us their feedback on it. It's no feedback, it's just an.
No, it's just a matter
We
of
have
the
to
judge
sign.
signing the order.
If the judge signs the order before the deadline for the
Yeah.
Frenchtown Sun, we can run it in the August
Yeah.
issue. If not, we'll bump it a month.
so we'll write it, so it's ready to
Yeah.
go.
So, let me ask you a follow-up question. If the judge needs to sign it, how's Fair Share Housing involved?
They were deemed an interested party in all of the
Right, right.
matters, so the only way to get to your final compliance certification is through Fair Share. If Fair
Right.
Share is not happy, the judge is not issuing you a final compliance.
So the judge is waiting to hear from Fair Share.
Correct, so
Okay.
when you get to this point in the process, the municipality and Fair Share have to file a joint consent order that they both sign off on, and then the judge reviews it and he or she signs off on it.
So has Fair Share not signed off on it?
They've finally signed off on it today.
Okay, so now it's before the judge.
Now,
Yeah.
yes.
And they've had it for several months.
Fair Share has, well, part of it was who was going to write the consent
Yeah,
order.
and it,
We're almost,
it's
we're
the
almost
process.
there.
It's the process.
We
Got it.
Cleared the Fair Share hurdle, the last Fair Share hurdle now.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so that was the top thing, I believe. The meeting before the meeting, that was the age-friendly committee?
Yes.
All right, you guys wanna give us an update on anything?
So I prepared the technical review memo that was part of our scope of work, which did the baseline analysis of the single family zones. In that, I created a series of potential recommendations that could be ultimately drafted into an ordinance. Three topics that we discussed tonight were permanent handicap ramps, because while we have an ordinance on handicap ramps, they are only allowed to be temporary, which doesn't really help someone who is looking to age in place for multiple years. We also talked about first floor bathrooms, handicapped accessible bathrooms, because that's another key component to aging in place. And then the last item was medically necessary equipment. Those are the three topics that I think we could fit within our existing, I believe that section of the ordinance is called exemptions, modifications, and supplementary regulation.
Yeah.
So we went through all three of those topics, discussed, some of the qualifiers to potentially being able to gain an exception. What I think is important for everyone to know, because of the diversity in our zones, R1 versus R2. And even within R2, there are a wide range of lot sizes and shapes. This is not going to be the ordinance that would allow everyone to add a bathroom without triggering a variance, or add a handicap ramp or medically necessary equipment. So I don't want to get anyone's hopes to get up thinking this is the blanket that solves
This will be a
everything.
help.
It will be a help,
It'll be an
yes.
improvement over the current state of affairs.
And we,
Certainly.
and what we had talked about with the age friendly was that it would be income limited.
I have concerns about that in zoning. Because if a ramp, let's just say, if a ramp 3 feet away from a property line is fine, it shouldn't matter what my income is.
But the discussions of the age friendly committee was to try to, this was the stump speech, right? Reduce the cost and burden associated with getting the approvals. It wasn't that,
But that should be blanket. That's gonna have to be blanket
When you say blanket, you mean for all residents?
for the rich and the poor and then ones in between.
Well, I agree with that 100% because I think if I remember correctly in our discussions, we adopted this phrase, Frenchtown for all ages.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's important in your thing about the award, because, we want to make it easier for all families or all residents to do this kind of thing, regardless of age or income. Because a young family that wants to do something to make it, better for their growing family, it should be easier for them too, not just someone who wants to age in place.
So to that point, John, the one thing that we discussed tonight was the three topics that we covered are not limited just to older folks or elderly folks, because
Yeah.
my thought process is, what if I am a young family? I
Yeah.
bought my first starter home, we had our first baby, and unfortunately that child has some sort of disability and that requires a ramp, or they're in a wheelchair. To me, this ordinance should be blind to age as well, because it's all about mobility. And so whether it's a young family or an aging family, it's about helping them to stay in their home
Yeah.
and stay in Frenchtown.
But so it'd be age and disability.
Correct.
The ordinance is not gonna have anything in it about age.
So if you, for whatever reason, need a first floor handicapped accessible bathroom, if you, for whatever reason, need a permanent handicap ramp, if you, for whatever reason, need medically necessary equipment,
Right.
it doesn't matter whether you're 9 or 99.
But then is there some demonstration that you need it?
Well, that's, yeah,
Doctor
Okay.
note. So our current ordinance has requires a note from a physician
Okay,
indicating that you need, in the case that we have in the ordinance, a handicap ramp.
right.
And so I propose carrying that forward in whatever exemptions that we have, that physician's note be one of the mandatory requirements to securing that exemption.
Okay.
Seems reasonable.
all right, very good. Thank you, and you guys are continuing plugging on with that, and we'll see what.
Now I
comes
have
out.
homework.
Now you have homework, okay, good.
Oh, and Darlene, when we looked at the ARP national network, the only place we could find that had done any work in this space is Sausalito, California, in case you want to look.
Okay.
Roof mounted solar, we got anything, have we done anything on that yet? Or roof mounted, as the case may be, the roof mounted solar, it's fine, I can tell you the light committee hasn't done anything yet either, so it's fine.
So I actually sent to Sam very late yesterday, sorry, samples from other towns. I think they're sitting on your
Yeah.
desk. So I have provided the board with some homework, so I will tell you. The ordinances that we will locate, the large majority of the ordinance is usually about ground mounted array. But in each one of these samples I've given you, there's a section on roof mounted, and it's very interesting to see the differences between towns. Some are talking about, well, you can have roof mounted solar panels, but you can only have them so many inches above the roof. There was one town that we found in the state of New Jersey that said, well, they could be 5 feet above the roof. And there was no differentiation, because in my mind, that's a commercial
Right.
warehouse.
Yeah.
Roof mounted
Yeah.
installation, not a single family
Yeah.
home installation, so. There is a diversity of ordinances out there, but I wanted to provide those to the board so you can sort of see, what is out there, so that has been provided.
So you guys, I'm sort of leading you, I think attorneys call that leading the witness. So yes, you have a bunch,
We're not prohibited from doing this.
Ellen,
They're not they're not a permitted accessory use currently.
Yeah, and so it's happened in the borough,
Right,
but it's not necessarily condoned in writing, so it
Okay.
creates issues if people now go to the applications with the shared
Okay.
service with Lambertville.
because this is, yeah,
got it.
Expressly
Okay.
say you can do it, but it doesn't say. you
so we
can't
need
do
to
it.
fix this. This is why we called it out as one of the things we
Yeah.
need to fix.
No.
Forgiveness. Right, forgiveness, yeah.
So I mean, I think BPU has a model ordinance. I can see if I can find it for you.
Okay,
Okay.
No,
Jacob,
I'm
you
just
okay?
curious, you mentioned that these are different towns, and I can see that here, Township of White, I've never heard of White, or
Warren
Knowlton.
Town.
What?
they would be offended.
What?
Warren County,
Okay, no, how do these towns, like, I know Holland, I know Blairstown, like, how do these towns compare to Frenchtown?
I think that's part
In
of your
terms of
homework.
operability.
I think that's part of your homework. I
So-
think you picked towns that were not dissimilar in size, I believe. We don't have Jersey City in here, do we?
No, there's no Jersey City, so I mean, it takes Holland proximate, also, I mean, some of the samples I found were just. Not applicable, so I already tried to narrow it down to. I mean, White Township is more rural than Frenchtown, but I tried to find ordinances that. I would actually recommend to you,
Gotcha.
because some of these that I found were just.
That gets more to my question, was there a method to the towns that you selected and the ordinances you selected?
Yeah, essentially throughout the crazy ones.
Gotcha,
Um,
okay, appreciate that, thank you for the.
That's a really great summary, thank you. Um,
The other thing that's interesting is the date of them, right? Because the technology has changed so much, so. So like you were saying, some might be 5 feet off the ground, but whereas others are lower.
5 feet off the roof.
Right, but the technology has changed so much in the last decade, right? So one here is 2008, 2010, so just a lot's changed, so.
True, and it will continue to change.
Yeah, but I'm just saying some of the ordinance might be a little outdated.
Yeah.
One of them seems reluctant to just call out photovoltaics, so it's describing like. Solar systems.
Beating around the bush a little.
Could be, there's a lot of different ways to turn sunlight into energy.
Well, it's also concerned about water too.
so I think the point is that we all have, the board has homework, to read through these. Many of us, or most of us, were at work today, so we did not get a chance to go through these. And, I don't know that we need to highlight all the bads, but let's see if we can find the useful and the goods. You can write ha next to the things you think are particularly ridiculous, but let's see if we can grab some ideas from these, and then we can give Darlene some direction to try to cobble together something resemble an ordinance for Frenchtown. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Next, well, I will take on the fixing the light lumens thing in ordinance. Our subcommittee has done nothing. I haven't called on them. We have not met once. And so we're kicking that down the road. But my schedule has gotten a little bit easier, so hopefully we'll be able to do that in the next month if everyone doesn't leave to go on vacation. We have anything on data centers?
That was a separate email. Very nice, but yeah, so. Data centers are a lightning rod right now. It was actually very difficult to find ordinances that conditionally permit them.
Okay.
In fact, in a couple of instances, we found ordinances that conditionally permit them, and then 2 months later. remove them from the ordinance entirely and prohibit them. But the one thing, and I don't think Sam printed out because it is lengthy, there's a really interesting guide. The folks across the river in Pennsylvania are really being proactive, and one of the items I included was a guide on data center ordinances. And it had a great section about different types of data centers. And then they divided it by concern. So there's a section on water, there's a section on aesthetics, there's a section on noise, and they essentially give you sample ordinance sections to address your potential concerns for each one of those topics. So it was Montgomery and Chester County did a combined
No, check that out,
document.
yeah.
Really thoughtful the way they laid it out based on those topics related to data centers that you would want to, if your concern is aesthetics, there's a whole aesthetics section. So I would encourage you to look at that, because that may actually prove more informative if we choose to go down the route of a conditionally permitted use. I see that as almost the menu from which we could pick certain standards.
And I think perhaps, and all of this may drive to this, one of the things we need to do is define them. Because they're not in the current ordinance. They're certainly not defined in the current ordinance, and as I think, Ted pointed out at the last meeting, he's got a server in his closet, so we have to define what we're talking about, as a data center.
Kingwood Township will be enacting a ban likely in the very near future, so we should probably take that ordinance once it's.
Oh, I can find plenty.
Yes, I know they have a ban. Warren County has put a sample ordinance out. But I was told you have to be careful with some of your utility companies like a Brightspeed or others, and just making sure how your definition is.
Right,
So the
exactly,
existing public utilities are still okay.
Are
They
still
can
okay.
operate different.
which is where we have to really look at our
Yeah.
definition.
Didn't the JPO do like a lunch and learn on this with advice for planning boards?
Yeah, I think they did,
They
but
did that?
I think I missed it, but I think they record them, so we should be able to
Okay.
dip into that.
And then Darlene, has it, because my sense is that a lot of them are being developed on spec, right? That it's some kind of warehouse, you don't know if it's an Amazon warehouse or it's gonna be a data center. So how does a board tackle that?
So. When an application comes in for site plan review, they'd have to tell us what the use is. So you could theoretically come in and say, well, I'm building a warehouse.
Right.
And then. After you build the shell, your tenant comes forward and they wanna do a data center, and now you need a fit out. Well, when they go to the zoning officer should say, that's not what the board approved, you have to go back.
Because a warehouse is not defined as data centers.
They definitely should not.
I'm hearing this from some other planners, that's what they're starting to say, and. Cause like the
Well, that's
traffic's
why-
very different.
100%.
Than Amazon warehouse.
But that's why the definition has to be in there clearly, because if either a data center is prohibited, then they would have to come before a variance.
Right.
If it is a conditional use, they would have to come
Prove any.
and prove the conditions for it. So as long as it's not allowed, either way, even if they started out as a warehouse, even if they started out as a warehouse and then they were going to put in a data center, they would have to come, because otherwise they'd be in violation. Am I right?
They'd have to come back first.
If it was prohibited,
If
if it's a prohibited use or if it was a conditional use.
Yeah, they've gotta come.
Yeah.
Even if it was a conditional use, they would still have to come before the board to establish that the standards have been adhered to.
Right.
And site plan.
But right now we have nothing in the ordinance at all about data centers.
Well, just to be clear where we stand right now. Data center is not a permitted use, so you.
Our ordinance is entirely silent on
Right.
it, but as Darlene said last month. There are groups that will argue that it is an industrial use or a manufacturing use, or they'll try to argue that it fits in some other definition that you already have.
With the likelihood of that happening in Frenchtown on the scale that people are concerned about, so-called hyperscalers, these huge facilities, is about as close to zero as you can get right now, because there is no place to put one.
Well, yeah, and JCP&L can't power
Right.
it. Our
So,
power grid's so
I
dated. that-
do think, we need to look at this issue carefully, but I want to make sure people also understand this is not an imminent thing.
It's not an imminent thing, but there is some, JCP&L can't power it. There are some private properties in Frenchtown that are still large enough
Yeah,
to put a small data center on.
Well, and I think that, we should.
But like,
develop-
I'm talking a 2 acre data center.
Sure, and
Yeah.
as technology improves, that might be, a very attractive thing for a property owner to do. Because a smaller footprint, they can do the work of these, right now, these huge facilities as technology improves. And I think we should, if we're gonna develop an ordinance, I think we should develop one that's open to that, possibility and doesn't just shut it off.
Well, that's a matter for debate then.
I know for cannabis, we did like a temporary ordinance saying, can't do it. At some point, we're gonna figure this out and pass something different. Could we do that here where we say for a period
Yeah,
of?
I mean, we could in principle. The reason we did that in cannabis was specifically because of the way the law was set up. It said you either have to take action, or if you don't by a
or you
certain date,
inherit,
then it defaults to the state mandates.
Right.
So that's why we did what we did.
But we could certainly do
But
that.
we still need to define it,
Yeah.
otherwise Bright Speed at the corner
yeah.
of Harrison and Second could theoretically fall in
Foul of the.
front of foul, so we'd still need to define it, but it's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
Work on the definition and a prohibition, then contemplate whether or not we want to refine that.
yeah.
Cause I know there's a certain amount of anxiety about it in town. It might just ease the anxiety and give us time to consider without having to.
Yeah, right.
That's an
And in the
interesting
longer
idea.
term, we can make it.
Yeah.
We refine it.
I think we should be careful about passing ordinances that ease people's anxieties when there's no, the reality is what it is. Right?
Darlene and I were just talking, and you wanna have consistency with your master plan too.
Hmm.
And if you have an adoption of an ordinance in one way, and then adopt something different shortly thereafter, raise an issue. Might need to deal with a master plan review as part of that.
So thanks for generating or supplying this information. It's good stuff for us to work with.
So again, homework. Everybody read a bit on data centers and
Greenwich is still conditional use?
So they're one of the ones that had a conditional and then they banned it. Who was that? But I like the conditional.
They banned it, huh?
I'm sorry, who?
Greenwich,
Greenwich, thank you.
it Greenwich? Cause they had it permitted, then they made
They
it
call it
conditional, and then they banned it?
They were wrong.
I saw that I thought that's what I
So
saw.
I found a couple good ones and then all of a sudden it was like banned.
Yeah, I think Greenwich did that because they're facing traffic pressures from all the warehousing in that area.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting.
I know, but they're just so upset about all the warehousing, I guess.
I think that's all I've got for the subcommittee updates of various things that I probably should have put earlier on the agenda. So now we get to council report, correspondence and other related items. John, what have we got from council? Or Brad, whoever wants to do that.
Couple things, at the last meeting, we applied formally for an extension on the 7th through Harrison Street project. Because we can't proceed forward with doing the work on Lower 7th or Harrison Street until Safe Routes is addressed. Because unless we address the landings, the DOT won't sign off on the paving project. So we applied for a 6-month extension on that. We also applied for a discretionary aid grant through DOT, through the Commissioner's Office, to see if they'll advance us the money through a grant to do all the landings from 7th through 12th Street. And if we do those and bring those up to compliance, it would allow us to move forward with the paving project. So this has been a very difficult project. So both of those are happening simultaneously. We were told that the DOT thought they would have the approval on safe routes within the federal fiscal year. Which will take us till September 30th. So there's more emails flying around, but I know NV5 hasn't applied to the most recent questions that we had there's a bunch of comments that they need to submit back to NJDOT for purposes of approval.
Right.
So
What is a landing? Is this where the curb cut is?
at the intersections,
Okay,
all the pavers need to be ripped up, poured concrete with those stamped grade things that you go.
The handicap accessibility ramps.
Yeah, so we asked
Has
if,
anyone designed them so that they don't have all the bumps scraped off in the first year and a half?
I think that's just the standard,
It's an odd standard, you know, it's sort of like, well, you have to buy them again real soon because. Yeah.
I was ripped up a bunch of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we did submit both those, I know Bill Burr's been trying, we're hopeful if they'll give us the money up front, like this extra. The DOT commissioner has money that they have authority to do special grants, so if we can get that money, then that would satisfy the reviewers that said we can't give you approval until we know 100% that those intersections would be upgraded, brought up to ADA standards. So that's where we stand with that. Design work is happening for Creek Road improvements. That was authorized at the last meeting. Holland Township, I talked to their mayor today. If we're interested, it looks like their DPW could come down, do patching, saw cuts and patching around the Napoli's area there, where it's pretty rough within the next week. We just have to pay them for time and material, but I think we should look at that because I'm getting a lot of complaints about the safety of going into Napoli's in the park.
Yeah, and those patches are not holding.
They're just.
Not holding,
patch.
they're holding like less than a month.
Yeah, so they would come in and actually, they have a hot box that can actually do proper patching with. So,
Cause so far we've just had,
we just use cold patching. We don't have that machine in Frenchtown. So, what else? But I don't know if we'll be able to do, we would like to get approval to do paving on Creek Road this year, but it might extend into the spring just because of the engineering and the DEP review, because of the drainage near the creek and it being a C1 stream, that might delay things a bit. What else? I think we're bargaining with PBA. That's starting the next week or two, and so hopefully we'll get that wrapped up pretty quickly. Won't be too long of a bargaining, but you know, we'll see. And I think that's all I have. I'm not sure anything.
Yeah, if you're into the Pride Parade, that's this weekend,
Yeah.
Saturday, I believe, as
Yeah.
long as the weather holds out, so.
Mhm.
If we got anything from the environmental commission, actually, you do have something from environmental commission, which I think is really exciting, but anyhow, go ahead.
Passed on comments about the master plan review. We'll see if anything comes of that. I think what you're referring to is Weevil Palooza
Yes.
on July 3rd, 5:30. The Environmental Commission will be hosting in Frenchtown Preserve the release of some weevils. They're mile-a-minute weevils. They eat the invasive mile-a-minute vine.
Huh.
You guys should already have heard about this, yeah? No? Okay.
I think maybe we got some, no?
You guys have.
Okay.
They don't eat tomato plants, do
the
they?
weevil is an insect.
The
They
weevil-
only eat mile-a-minute
the
vine.
insect
Is a biological control agent.
on an invasive vine. They co-evolved together in East Asia. They won't eat anything else. They won't lay their eggs on anything
Okay.
else. We're turning it into sort of a party. There will be snacks. There will be microscopes for kids to look at the
That's
bugs
great.
up close. You should start seeing some flyers around town.
You should put it on the constant contact.
I don't know how to do that.
Sunbeam article.
Guys next to you.
And there is should be a Frenchtown Sun article about it
Yes.
in the next,
What day is that?
Feature.
July 3rd.
Yeah, so these little beasties have been really, really well tested, and it's actually the larvae that do most of the damage. The larvae actually burrow inside the stem of a mile-a-minute. Mile-a-minute vine is an annual plant, so it has to come back every year from seed. So they burrow inside the stem, which weakens the plant, which means it doesn't flower, it doesn't set seed well, so you get less seeds. And then it knocks down the population.
Do
So,
you have to seed them every year, or do they?
no, the beetles perpetuate.
They should.
As long as the vine's around, you'll have the
When the
weevils.
vines are gone, the weevils are gone?
Where are these vines, that this is such a trouble?
Oh, they are all over Frenchtown Preserve. They're all over the edge of my back field. They are all, if there's,
They're in the park.
They're in my yard.
10, 15 years ago, there are islands in the middle of the river, which are completely coated with mile-a-minute vine, and it gets its name very honestly. It grows astonishingly fast. It is covered with tiny little microscopic barbs that will attach to your skin and break off in your skin. You can actually have it attach itself to you.
I got that.
The leaves are, read last month's, 2 months ago, last month's newsletter, because I wrote an article about them, complete with the picture of what the vine looks like. So look at the newsletter.
It's a front page article.
So, no, I think it was a front page
It
article.
wasn't.
Yeah, it's below the fold.
Below the fold, but front page.
So yes, so this is very exciting. So,
And is the
Yes.
tier
yes,
come?
We are submitting another DOT local aid grant. We're gonna try and get money for side street paving, so we're gonna try for Third and Fourth Street. Maybe Fifth if we can stretch.
oh wow,
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Yeah, and I should mention that the Weevil Palooza is made possible with a grant from Amjac.
Where do you get some of these weevils? I got that
you
stuck
can,
all over my.
you order them from the
backyard.
state, but they're expensive, so there's a lot.
Well, it's only, it's $1 a weevil, $500 for.
I'll get the weevil.
Unless you go to the bar, you.
But
Yeah,
they,
first couple.
talk to your municipality, see if they will get them. And the first order that you get is half price.
Yeah, first order of
Keep it
500.
So you can order it from,
One of those weevils.
actually, my husband honestly said, you know, the ship has sailed, but we should have just gotten the 500 and created a little beetle rearing facility and then,
Probably
know,
on Amazon.
then we would have had lots. But yes,
Deal with it. Say about a weevil.
Ed, I'm sorry, who was the grant from?
and Jack,
Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we got 1,300-ish to do the whole event.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Is there a ribbon cutting?
No.
there's a beetle release on,
But I
on,
have been
Just-
threatened, someone said they would provide me a weevil costume that I'd have to wear while I.
Nice.
Chad, I know people who own those, but no one locally, so you're lucky.
Great picture for the sun.
Yeah.
And then the last thing from the EC is there are some questions about the paving by the bridge leading into Sunbeam Lenape Park. The way it was paved seems to be causing some erosion. We're not really sure. I guess we'll have to come to the council and ask about that, but felt like it was sort of relevant here too. Since we're not really clear who actually owns that spot that got paved. It's the town, but we said it was okay for them to pave it,
which part?
right, leading into the Sunbeam Lenape, right by the bridge.
So there's joint access there. Part of it's Borough, part of it's Bridge Commission, but they paved the whole thing for us when they did their section.
So, yeah, we were just thinking about what we can do to make it less,
Erosion prone.
yeah.
Where's the erosion? Like in the grass area or?
If you walk by, you know, it's a sloped asphalt and then right at the bottom edge,
Okay.
all the water will flow down.
Isn't the environmental commission doing something about, like a day at Nishosakowick Creek too, or something like that? Did I see that today?
Not that I remember.
Okay, well, tell us about next month what's happening. I thought I saw something about that. It might have been a different. I wonder if that's Alexandria's doing that.
The Monday thing, on Monday for a couple hours,
They got some specialist coming in to tell people all about
yes.
how cool the creek is.
There's a young man from whatever he's from, who's been showing up to meetings and said that he was going to be doing something, but I don't. think I-
NJ Watershed
Oh,
Ambassador,
yeah, Jay Watershed Ambassador, there we go.
Matt Tunkel,
Yeah, I didn't get the,
And on that one.
public outreach event,
a date had been picked.
Monday,
Great.
29, 2 to 4:30.
Great, go to that.
Cool. I think. Unless somebody else has got something else, does anybody else have anything else to comment on or share this evening? Hearing none, is there a motion
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
to adjourn, as soon as what the motion is?
Oh, yeah.
All,
For another hour.
all in favor, say aye.
I.
All opposed?